Berlin, cafes being the essential meeting places. And instead of spending money on food and drinks, most would prefer earning money by serving them to their friends. The gorgeous, attention-grabbing women working at the Café Moscow filled it with an audience of nonchalant, tattooed musicians lounging next to their carefully placed guitar or bass cases, paint-covered artists showing off small booklets filled with sketches and color dabblings, fashion designers offering modeling jobs for upcoming avant-garde fashion shows, and cafe owners trying to bribe the girls to come work at their newest business enterprises. Berlin was then known for its strong and impressive women. The common mood was support, ingenuity, and sticking together, not a common attitude among women. There was no competition for men or jobs. As soon as a new woman appeared on the horizon, she would be taken possession of by the female community, curiously interrogated, examined, and then proudly presented to the world as a Berlin vamp. To be considered a Berlin vamp was considered a great achievement. It was the recognition of being individual, tough, and avant-garde, not so much a sex bomb. The goal was to be original and experimental, and not bow to predictable standards of beauty or other female attributes. It was considered cool to be as resilient as any man, not permitting cattiness or pettiness to tarnish associations. Women protected and respected each other, working together to initiate projects, record labels, publishing companies, spoken word festivals, in the process becoming internationally acclaimed DJs, musicians, or artists. I was exhilarated by this girls' world and made fashion, music, and painting with them for years to come. I came to understand the meaning of a muse. In my eyes, it has nothing to do with external attributes such as fame or wealth, as suggested in gossip columns today. It is actually the very opposite. Finding somebody that inspires you, arousing a sentiment of unlimited creativity and freedom, and turning the world into an immeasurable playground of ingenuity. If it is reciprocal, you are very lucky. One of the most impressive women I met in Berlin was Gudrun Gut. We were introduced early on by Johnny Climack, an Australian musician, and her then boyfriend. Back in 1980, Johnny asked me to sew curtains for him. We had met in a bar I was working at, and he needed to soundproof his walls because of annoying neighbors. Broke as usual and happy to receive paid commission, I went to see him a couple of days later. When I arrived, the door was opened by a woman I hadn't met before, who told me in a thick German accent where the studio was. Johnny introduced us later as Danielle Gudrun. Gudrun was known as the toughest chick in town, cutting her way through the jungle of male-dominated international music industry, determined to achieve as much success as any man. Her unusual beauty, slanted eyes, dark straight hair, and flared nostrils, reminiscent of an enchanting Eskimo woman, fascinated me. She was never insecure, always very conscious of what profit she could achieve by participating. Though on the first encounter she might initially seem worried, resembling a wild animal ready to take flight, she would then set about fulfilling her mission efficiently, driven by the force of her vision. Gudrun was single-minded about her art, ready to invest anything to make it happen, in spite of living in dire poverty for a long time. Anything, that is, except her meticulous taste or giving up on her dream. After moving to Berlin in the 1980s, originally from West Germany, Gudrun quickly became part of the Geniale Dilettanten, the avant-garde music scene in Berlin, and together with Beate Bartel and Blixa Bargeld, one of the original band members of Einstürzende Neubauten. Successively, she founded the band Malaria, together with Bettina Costa, Matador, Mania D, and Madame Bovary. These female bands became renowned for their avant-garde music experimentation. Gudrun combined soft, harmonious eroticism with dry, abstract rhythms and unusual live sounds, creating a fascinating and complex world of her own and gaining recognition in the international music world, with Nick Cave, Stephen Severin of Susie and the Banshees, and Martin Gore of Depeche Mode becoming good friends. She continued working consistently throughout the years in spite of chauvinism and poverty, writing music, composing radio plays, representing artists, producing bands, founding her record label Monica Enterprise, the radio station The Ocean Club, and paving the way for countless female musicians and producers worldwide. After being introduced by Johnny, we spent a couple of months eyeing each other carefully and admiring each other from afar. One evening, having met by chance at the launching of a new club, we simultaneously started provoking each other with outrageous stories and huge glasses of Fernet Branca. After a couple of hours, around 4 in the morning, I fainted after being sick in the public bathroom, and Gudrun, too drunk to wait for me, fell off her bicycle on the way home. It was the beginning of a wonderful friendship.